Hmm. Skinner Marink. Well, I think I have a new video. Oh no! Dude, what the heck? What are you doing?
Spawn, reboot, blah.
Spawn, reboot, blah? What do you mean, blah?
Oh, Blum.
Fine, I'll look it up. Spawn, reboot. My God. No. No. No, 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 no. Hello and welcome back to Scream Films, where we usually analyze movies and genres and discuss them a little bit more. Today, movie news. If you couldn't tell by the skit or the title of this video, we're going to be discussing the new Spawn reboot that's coming out in, allegedly 2025. We'll see at this point. I'm going to discuss a few things about it. With the original Spawn movie releasing in 1997, Spawn really hasn't had a big name in media recently. I think the only biggest thing that I remember Spawn being in recently is Mortal Kombat 11. For those that don't understand or know who Spawn is basically an anti-hero. He gets killed and then signs a deal with the devil, and then he becomes what's called a Hell Spawn, and he's a general of Hell's armies. And then through the comic books and then also the animated show, which is the best version of Spawn, he's trying to figure out what he wants to do with him being a Hell Spawn, and that's basically the easiest way to do it. The comics go into way more depth than somewhat of the animated series. Animated series ended with 3 seasons, which just ended on a cliffhanger, while the Spawn series, I believe, just went on to its 350th comic recently. So Spawn is still in the media, but you have to actually be a fan of Spawn to really know who Spawn really is. So a Spawn reboot is very interesting. I know that Todd McFarlane really wanted to do another Spawn movie after the 97 movie didn't really go as planned, I guess. He confirmed that there was going to be a Spawn sequel in 98, and then that was 26 years ago. So kind of in the air for a while and not really getting a good confirmation of that. So if you couldn't tell by the title, I had mixed feelings about this. There's a possibility of it being a total disaster, but also has the potential of going back into the media and making people kind of realize who Spawn is and get into Spawn. I did write down a few goods and bads and what the movie should do to make the movie good, so I'm gonna basically just go off starting with that. I'm gonna go with the bads first, mostly because it's more fun to do the bads first, I guess. So I have a few written down. In your bias, there's probably more than what I written down, but I wanted to get some of the main ideas with what could happen with this movie. So starting off, Blumhouse is basically producing this movie. If you know me, I'm not the biggest Blumhouse fan. I like some of their movies, like Insidious and Sinister are really good, but they're kind of just writing off of that, in my opinion. But like their recent movies have just been a little iffy. If you at least watch my modern horror movies, I kind of jab at Blumhouse for making cheap, quick movies, and then they're making their money back. We're not discussing that today. Well, it kind of is important, but it's not the main focal point. So Blumhouse is the main company, is in the air of whether it'll be good. If Jason Blum does become a EP on this, then we might have some issues. If he's just a main producer, then we should be fine. But if Jason Blum does become EP on this, I probably think the movie is probably going to be a disaster. There is the possibility of this movie being rushed. There was in a Screen Rant article, I believe, because I did some research this time, when they were interviewing Jason Blum, he basically just said, I want this movie on 2025 no matter what. We're gonna get to why that is probably gonna suck, but also, yeah, it's June of 2024 at the moment, so it's possible that they can get it right, that they can get it made, but with what I've seen so far, either they can push for late 2025 or beginning of 2026. I think at this point doing 2025 like summer is a bad way to go. There's also no planned director at the moment, so that's also a not good situation. The only thing that they really have is producers and writers, but not having a director on board right now, it makes sense because they're still in the screenwriting part of the movie, so it makes sense that they don't have an onboard director. But also at this point, again, if Jason Blum's wanting this movie to be out in 2025, he's gonna have to start looking for directors to direct the movie. There is also another article, I believe also by Screen Rant. I guess Screen Rant is just my resource for this video, I guess. Apparently Jeff Wadlow wants to direct. What has he done exactly? Jeff Wadlow. Okay. See what he's done. Alright, so he's done Bloodshot, the 2020 movie with Vin Diesel. Okay movie, you know, not the worst, but could have been better. Crywolf. That's an ancient movie. Same thing, I guess, with Bloodshot, more on the bad side. I don't know. Kick-Ass 2. Okay, I believe he wrote that one. So, you know, there's some possibilities, you know, that, you know, he's had his dip in some superhero movies. Truth or Dare. For those that don't know, he was a co-writer and directed Truth or Dare. Not one of the best movies. Does he have anything else that could maybe make up for this? Imaginary. Oh, no. Oh, no. So, Jeff, I don't think you're even gonna see this video, but, please don't direct Spawn. Please, no. I don't want another failure. Please, don't do it. Moving on before I have a small anxiety attack. Since this movie is going to be more of a reboot than anything, there's a possibility of retelling the 97 story, which wasn't the best. It was more one-line focused than anything, where Spawn's not that. What I mean by that is, for those that really, again, don't know Spawn, he has a lot of villains. So in the 97 movie, which was one of its flaws, it only had the Clown, Violator, and Jason Wim as the villains. That's it. Spawn is more diverse than that, so if they're gonna try and retelling the story, it's not gonna do the best, because Spawn has way more messed up villains that they can use. And then the last thing I do have down is the script at this point is getting rewrites still, which again isn't the worst, but it also kind of corresponds with Jason Blum saying that he wants this out in 2025. Because if he wants this out in 2025, he's gonna have to get actors on board, he has to rush the writing team, and then, you know, post-production will also have to be somewhat rushed. I mean, it's possible to get it out in 2025, let's just say that. But if the script is still getting rewrites, and there's 3 writers, that's not the best. But again, this also corresponds with Jason Blum wanted this out in allegedly 2025. If he was smarter, I would push towards 2026, either the beginning or like April-ish of 2026. Just because, for me, this movie is kind of the hanging point of Blumhouse and seeing if they're still holding out. So, with some bads out of the way, let's quickly recap those. Blumhouse is the main company producing the movie. It's not the worst, but again, Blumhouse has had some iffy movies recently. There's the possibility of it being rushed, with Jason Blum wanting it out in possibly 2025. Not good at this point. There's no planned director, and if Jeff Wadlow does direct, it's gonna be a shit show. It has the possibility of retelling the 97 story, which would not be good at all, because we have the 97 movie, and Spawn is way more than that. And then the script is also getting rewrites at the moment, where the possibility of it being rushed is not good. So, now moving on to some goods that I did while I was researching. They actually have some good writers on board, for once. Good job, Blumhouse. You've done something good for once since 2012. So the 3 main writers, they're also corresponding with Todd McFarlane on this. I guess the first writer we'll talk about is Scott Silver. Scott Silver has written the first Joker and the second Joker. He's done other projects, but those are mostly his 2 big ones. You know, some people don't like the Joker movies, but there's also a lot of people who are like, this is good. I'm kind of in the middle of that. I've only seen it really once. I'll watch it, but it's not like a sit down, like I'll watch this every day ordeal. But again, Joker actually did have some pretty decent writing. So the fact that they actually have someone who has written a superhero movie or a supervillain movie on board is pretty good. Next, we have Malcolm Spellman, who, oh, look at that. He has written the Falcon Winter Soldier show. You know, mixed reviews in a way, but still, he has his experience with working with a big company on that. He's also worked on Empire and Bel-Air. I don't have experience on any of those shows, so I don't have an opinion on that, but he's written Empire and Bel-Air. I believe Empire was rated pretty decently, so he has that on him. Last, we have Matthew Mixum, who's done not much. He's more of an oncoming guy, I believe, and I guess his biggest thing for writing is Yesterday Was Everything, which I believe was a documentary, but it had some really good reviews on IMDb, so, you know, he knows what he's doing somewhat. So with these three and them going through with Todd McFarlane, the script has a possibility of being really good. Don't rush them, Jason. Next, we have them shooting for an R rating, which is perfect. But for those that don't know, the 97 Spawn movie was a PG-13 film, which kind of sucked rating-wise. So for those that have never seen Spawn, Spawn is, since it's its own thing and it's not corresponding with Marvel or DC, Spawn has been in Marvel and DC universes, but he's not specifically with them. They get to do whatever they want with him, and Spawn, being a really messed up comic, is brutal and bloody. So the fact that they're shooting for an R rating is good, because we get more of what Spawn really is, which is just being a comic that shows messed up things, and it's more of the darker side of the world. Kind of like what Gotham City supposed to be is just a brutal, dark city where messed up things happen. Another good, Todd McFarlane is producing the movie, which is good, because if he is EP on this, it should be fine. The movie should be at least okay to good. But again, if Todd McFarlane is just producing the movie and isn't an EP, we're gonna have problems. But if he is an EP, this movie again should be just fine. Jamie Foxx at the moment is the lead role for Spawn, which Jamie Foxx is a good actor. The first movie that comes to mind is Django Unchained. It's because I'm a Tarantino fan. But you know, he's done a lot more other things. But the fact that, as well with this, they're trying to get an A-list crew overall is good. So, you know, Jamie Foxx at the front, you know, a lot of people really like Jamie Foxx. So the fact that he's on board willing to be Spawn is pretty good. There's also the possibilities of Jeremy Renner being in this movie. So yeah, as well with Jeremy Renner also being involved is pretty good. I think this is maybe his first or second role coming back from his accident, so it would be good to get him back, or just having him in movies. I really hope if he's Sam or Twitch, that would be cool. I kind of hope he's Twitch. That'd be really funny. Definitely with Jamie Foxx and Jeremy Renner in this should be good. And then overall, if they do get what they hope for is A-listed crew, I don't know what the crew is, but the movie should be fine overall. Next, the script is getting rewrites. Again, this is a good and a bad. There's weight to it, but it is good that they're trying to get a good script going. You know, it's possible proof that they're caring for the original story of Spawn and they want to make the comics a reality, which is really good. So those are the goods and bads. To recap the goods, they have decent writers who know what they're doing. They're shooting for an R rating, which thank God. Todd McFarlane is producing. We'll see if he becomes an EP or not. Jamie Foxx is the lead role. Jeremy Renner's also in the movie, and they're planning on getting an A-listed crew. So this isn't just amateurs up in here. They're trying to get people who know what they're doing in production. The script is getting rewrites, which is also proving the fact that the writers are caring for the original media and story of Spawn, so they want to get it right. Now, some of my opinions that I think would make the movie better or overall make it worth watching. I definitely think, for respect of the people who have played Spawn, they should have Keith David and Michael J. White in this movie, somehow or the other. Even if they start doing like a multi-universe thing of like having the animated Spawn and then the 97 version of Spawn, if they somehow do like a multiverse with that, I think overall they should just have Keith David and Michael J. White in this movie. More of the respect side of things. At least have Keith David say something cool, man.
Who made you God, little man? Not that gun, not that uniform, nothing. You wanna scare people, fine. I need a scarecrow. You're gonna be my personal message board. I want everyone to see what happens when they come here uninvited.
And then, if you really wanted to, you can have Michael J. White be Chapel, which would be really cool, especially with Michael J. White being a martial artist. He has a lot of movies on his belt, so realistically, him being Chapel, he knows what he's doing. That adds on to the whole messed up side, because for those that don't know, Chapel is a mercenary, same thing with Spawn. This character actually has a lot of depth to him, because Chapel also feels bad and has PTSD of getting Al Simmons' Spawn killed. So he has that depth to him that would be perfect for this movie. And then again, just have Keith David be a cool character at this point. Even if it's just like a small cameo of like he's maybe like a homeless person. I just wanted to hear him say something cool.
Were it so easy.
So next I have follows some of the animated stories plot. Don't copy it one-to-one, but kind of follow that trail. What I mean by that is in the animated series, Spawn doesn't really know what to do with himself. He kind of just wants to be left alone, and then everything starts happening with him getting pushed to bring hell to Earth. But then like eventually throughout, he's on a scale of good and bad. Mostly trying to do good. He's also trying to get back to his wife, which simp. But then like at the end of the animated series, he's finally like realizing that he wants to do good instead of being the general of hell. So he's a complex character that the movie can show pretty well for Spawn, and he's not just a one-sided villain or hero, because he's more of an anti-hero than anything. He's like Deadpool. And then also, yeah, sprinkle in other animated stuff like the old hermit wise guy. He used to be a Hellspawn, and then he was able to get out, so he's kind of being a mentor to Al or Spawn. Don't just use Violator and Jason Wim as the main villains. Use other villains that are in the story. You have Chapel, which we kind of discussed. You have Overkill. You have Billy, the ice cream man, who's the son of the mayor. You can add depth to the movie. That was in like the show. There's the priest who does the thing with grenades, who's a little, yeah, for those that know,
Killing kids. That's about catching the innocents, Life, death, good, evil. It's all right here. Windows to the soul, boys. Take a peek. See the party?
But overall, you have this set of characters that you can use for like maybe one-off things or something. Like again, with the priest, you can have the priest do like maybe one or two things and then Spawn kills him or something, But don't just have two out of the many characters that are in the Spawn universe be in the movie. Add more to it. Next, I would say push towards the ideology of the angel and demon war that's there, of heaven ascending bounty hunters to kill the hell Spawn to prevent the war. You have Malbolgia trying to get Spawn to send hell on Earth. You also have the ideology of the Antichrist in Spawn. You have all of this angel and demon stuff that you can add into the movie, which would be really cool since that's kind of the same of Spawn. These next two go together. I'll say the one first, then the other. Get a good VFX crew or studio in on this movie. Don't just make a small budget movie. Actually put money into it. I say a good VFX team, especially with Spawn and modern technology, you can do way more than what was done in the 97 movie. So I guess one thing that's kind of important is make his cape look lively. Actually have it part of his character, because in the 97 movie, he barely had it on unless it was like the ending, where here, just either have an actual cape, kind of like in Doctor Strange, but like when you wanted to do like all the waviness of what the cape does, do CGI or something. So basically do the Doctor Strange cape in a way with Spawn. Same thing with that. Modern day technology is super simple. We have cloth simulators that we can use on CG characters. We can make it look lively, like it's its own being that Spawn can control. So if we add the cape more into the character, then he'll just look cooler, because Spawn is not Spawn without the cape, according to me, because the cape adds so much to it, especially with the animated show. He looks kind of like Batman. He has that dark, like scary tone of Batman when you can't see his feet and he's just a shadow with his green eyes. That's kind of scary, like especially at night. So if they add that to his character, it'll make the overall character of Spawn look cooler and more intimidating. Also with the suit, make it flexible. The 97 movie outfit does not look flexible at all, because with Spawn, it's more of like, it looks kind of like spandex in a way. It doesn't look bulky or anything. It's not armor. So with trying to make the suit look flexible and movable would make it easier for Spawn to do crazy stuff. So that's all the suit stuff out of the way, and VFX. If you're wondering if I have a specific VFX crew or team, whatnot, studio to do it, I don't really know. The first one that comes to mind is Weta, but also I don't know how much Weta costs to do a movie, probably out of Blumhouse's expenses, so they probably can't even get Weta. Broke. I don't know, it's not up to me. Next, kind of more on the story side, make it dark and gruesome, and then as well give it a horror movie vibe, because if you just do a basic superhero action movie, it's not gonna really go well, because that's not really Spawn. Spawn is basically Batman if Batman didn't have the no-kill rule, and he's a demon. So like in the comics, you see people getting torn up, like the cape's getting people, he has chains, he uses guns. He has everything that like a superhero needs, but he does it 10 times cooler and scarier. Especially, if he's in the alleyways of the city, there's a way that you can make those alleys scary, like they did in the show, and people are afraid of him. And then same thing with the horror movie vibe. You have people walking around the alleyways, they're scared. You give it a vibe where people don't want to go into the alleyway because of what lurks in the alley. As well as that, use German expressionism. Take influence of the 87 Batman movie by Tim Burton. Like just with like buildings. The buildings look tall, grim. All of Gotham just looks depressing. And I think doing that with Spawn would be fantastic, because that's kind of the ideology of Spawn, is a gruesome, messed up character. So doing some German expressionism with the buildings and everything, it would make it all look cool. Also, you don't have to use just buildings with this. You use it with lighting and everything. I've talked about German Expressionism before on the channel. You would have to watch the M video to really get more of a deep dive of what I mean by German Expressionism. And then I've said it kind of before, don't make it just a plain superhero movie. Add gruesome stuff to it that makes Spawn different than all these other heroes that we're seeing in media. He's not a good guy. Realistically, he's a terrible person, but he just wants to be left alone, and then he makes people who disrupt him pay for it. So make him more of a villain than anything else, really. And then there's also the whole thing, if they want it rated R, you need blood, gore, and language. Add those 3 things into this and you're set. It's very important, especially if they're wanting to get the animated series vibe. The animated series has all of that. They have the blood, they have the gore, and they definitely have the language. But it makes it more quote-unquote surreal because you're getting that messed up city vibe of it's not just sunshine and rainbows, everything's good. It's more of the whole town is messed up. We're trying to cope with that. Bring lots of blood and gore into the movie, especially if they're trying to push towards a rated R vibe. There you go. And then lastly, I have just bring Sam and Twitch into the story. Sam and Twitch are New York detectives, and if you really want to do a cop side of Spawn, this would be the perfect way to do it. Or have them in a more of a smaller role than what they are, you can do that as well. But at least have Sam and Twitch into the story where they're trying to figure out what's really happening. Well, at least Twitch is. And then there you can also talk about, you know, corruption in the police force or something and cutting up loose ends, because that's kind of what the animated show did. So overall, some good ideas that I think the movie should push towards doing is treating it like the animated show a little bit, add the characters in there, the story, make it something like the animated show, make it gnarly, add gore, language, violence, something that interacts the ideology of what a normal superhero movie is, which is more family friendly now, I guess, like Marvel and everything. Make it for like adults, like the 2022 Batman movie, where it was more dark in its tone than anything. And then just make sure that there's a good VFX company that's willing to take on this movie to where you can get Spawn feeling like how he is in the animated show and in the comics. So that's basically all I have for this video. Overall, I have mixed feelings about whether this movie is going to be good or not. I hope it's good, but also I'm not going to be surprised if it somehow turns out bad. But now to answer the question, is it going to be a failure? We'll have to find out whenever it decides to come out in theaters. Other than that, if you guys really want me to, I'll make more videos on future updates on the Spawn movie. I also don't have to. If you guys don't want me to, I'm totally chill with that. But if you did like this video and me kind of discussing this, press the like button. It'd be cool to get more active viewers on this. So as well, if you did like the video and you already liked, go ahead and subscribe. If you think other people, like friends and family, might like this video, go ahead and send it to them. Try and get this channel growing a little bit more. And that's pretty much all I have for today. Again, I hope you really liked the video. I should maybe have a video coming out maybe at the end of the month. I'm going to see if my camera decides to work, or I might just get a webcam. We'll see what happens in the future, but I do have a movie review coming up. It's going to be a little spicier than usual, but I'll probably see you in that next one, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.